Namaste, Swagatam. In this talk series on Indian Knowledge Systems, IKS, we start with a conversation with Srimati Smriti Ananthalakshmi Adinarayanan ji. Smriti ji is the co-founder of AnaadiFoundation, which is an ashrama, a Gurukula, a sustainable community, and also a spiritual commune. She belongs to the parampara of Mahavatar Kriya Babaji, and since her marriage in 2004, Smriti ji has been leading a yogic life of simplicity and purpose. After spending some time in the software industry and with the intention of living a life that can benefit a large number of people, especially the youth, she and her husband, Adi ji, moved to academics. Their sadhana inspired them to make the parampara of our country available to everyone. After more than a ticket teaching and research experience, they started AnaadiFoundation for Loka Sangraha. Since then, they have been reaching out to children, to youth, to families through their online and in-person programs on yoga, itihasa, Purana, and Vedanta, blending unique insights from modern science. AnaadiFoundation's books on Indian knowledge systems, especially on science, Ganita, Ayurveda, Nakshatra Shastra for children, are very, very sought after, both in India and abroad. Smriti ji and Adi ji also continue to teach at various institutions, including IIT Delhi. And finally, being grihasthas and being able to integrate sadhana into their daily life, they inspire other grihasthas who visit their ashram and or attend their courses. Recently, AnaadiFoundation started a new Gurukulam in Secunderabad, the Swadharma Gurukulam, a holistic learning space for boys and girls ages 6 to 12, offering Indian knowledge systems and open schooling education, NIOS, with a vision for children to become future leaders rooted in Bharatiya Parampara. Swadharma Gurukulam ensures the development of the Panchakoshas, physical, vital, emotional, cognitive, spiritual, and aesthetic. All these dimensions of a Vidyarthi will be taken care of. It is a day scholar Gurukulam located in Shivananda Ashram in Padmarao Nagar, Hyderabad, Secunderabad. Classes are all set to start from June 12th. Let us learn more from Smriti ji. Namaste, Smriti ji. Swagatam once again.
Namaste.
Welcome to this IKS series. And we are very delighted to have you as our first participant.
Thank you so much.
Do tell us about Anadi Gurukulam. All of us are big fans. And what is the vision behind it? What does it offer? And a little bit about the people who are in it.
Wonderful. So, namaste everyone. Very happy to be speaking here. And Kavita ji is a good friend. We have been in so many conversations together, but this is definitely, every conversation has been unique. So is this one. So we started the foundation, AnaadiFoundation, in 2015, as Kavita ji mentioned. Both of us were in the academia. Before that, we were in the software industry. And Adi ji and I always used to lament, no matter how much time you spend with the computer, the damn thing wouldn't get inspired. So it's always been like, you spend a lot of time in front of the computer, but then we definitely miss the human touch. We are inherently versatile in terms of our interests. So we wanted a more multidimensional playing field. That's why we transitioned to academia. And it was a wonderful time at the university. Over a period of time, we had the opportunity to touch more than 10,000 lives as part of our teaching. And even while we were professors at the university, we were able to introduce undergraduate courses on Bhagavad Gita, Mahabharata, and the ancient Indian sciences and technology. And we were amazed by the amount of interest that students used to show. Even though they were like, it's a typical engineering course, more than 400, 500 students used to take up these electives. But of course, the university that we work with, which is Amrita University, already has a very strong value-based system. But we felt that there are so many more youth outside the system who need, the inspiration. And in fact, many of our own students started living with us for their sadhana. So we felt it would be more relevant if we move out and started our own foundation. That's when we started AnaadiFoundation, mainly for the spiritual well-being of people. Our ashram is located near Palani, and for the benefit of all the local population, we involve the children in STEM education. We do a lot of technology-based programs for the youth there. We also have a Goshala with more than 40 Indian breed of cows. We've integrated sustainable living through cows. And we also have, very interestingly, we have a rural AI center where we bring in artificial intelligence technologies to the rural youth. And of course, we have a Dharma Gurukulam, a residential Gurukulam here at Palani, which we have about 30 children right now. We started that in 2021. We observed that many parents have started to become disillusioned with the current educational process. Of course, it takes a lot of courage for them to jump into the Gurukulam system. But nevertheless, the parents who have committed right now will serve as models, for role models for those who are sort of on the edge, who are still thinking about it, who are not confident about it. But these parents have taken the decision. Many thanks, gratitude to them. Now these children here go through a very rigorous yet joyous curriculum on.
What is the age group for them?
The age group here is from 8 years onwards.
8 to 12 standard.
8 to 12 standard. In fact, 2 students who are graduating this year from 12th standard, they plan to stay at the ashram and take up Shastric studies, and they have been admitted into the IIT Madras's BS in Data Science online degree program. So that way they don't have to go to the college campus, they can still remain in the ashram, immerse themselves more in the Indian knowledge systems. Because these senior boys are very jealous of the younger ones, because the younger ones got to get more immersive knowledge systems. But these boys started off a bit late, so they are saying that they're going to take a gap of 6 months, spend completely on Indian knowledge system, Sanskritam, and work on those things, work on live projects as well, and then take up the degree.
So you have kind of answered my next question, but maybe a little more detail.
Yes.
I wanted to ask, how is all this, and I'm sure a lot of viewers will want to know, the relevance of what we are teaching, like IKS, to the modern youth, and how it is impacting society? Like, how is it going to help? Like, if parents say, why should I put my child for IKS study?
Very true. So when I was a computer science professor, so we had something called the ACM guidelines on undergraduate education, or IEEE guidelines. So what they would do there is, they won't tell you like, you teach Java, you teach Python. They would tell that at the end of every year, what is the skill that an undergraduate engineer in computer science should possess? And when they come out of the program, what is the skill in terms of communication, in terms of the ability to code, in terms of, able to manage a project, a small project, or envision a project, and identify the tools, contribute to open source projects, and many things. So similarly, when we look at the educational process, it's not about whether the child knows to add 2 numbers in a particular way, or uses a line method, or whatever it is. But at the end of the program, or in the end of primary school, middle school, at that particular age, what is the child capable of doing? Okay, does it have the necessary ability to, sort of map things around them, identify things around them, have a scientific, inquiry, a thought process, and all that. So that way, if you see whether it is modern education or Gurukula education, both actually sort of bring out that spirit. So just because a child studies in a Gurukulam doesn't mean that he or she is denied of all those possibilities that modern education gives.
Scientific temper will be there, but there is something added also.
Yeah, much more than that, because the child here, if you look at the regular, the mainstream educational process, I usually in all my sessions, I don't really talk too negative about the modern education, because it is serving a population.
Yes.
Till we work really hard to bring the changes, it's going to stay. So the Gurukulam education will not replace this thing immediately. All of us have to put in our energies to bring about a change in the system. But nevertheless, let us take, for example, this Gurukulam education process, the mainstream education process, if you look at it, until the grade 10, the child studies only from the textbooks.
Yes.
So the Shabda Pramana is what the child uses more or less, because, or the Agama, if you can say it that way. So it is only through the text and only through the teachers. Only in 11th and 12th does the child actually get to go to a lab and do it. But a good amount of knowledge which is offered in our Gurukulam is Pratyaksha based. So, for example, when we talk about an Ayurvedic herb, it's not just they read it in a book, the benefits. They actually go out, map the Ayurvedic herbs within the ashram, make a preparation of that, drink it, or, apply it, and then test the effects. and then they are able to understand what is actually mentioned in the text.
So experiential and learning by doing.
Very, very experiential. It's an experiential way to learn things, and not in the modern context where a whole philosophy is built around experiential knowledge, and only a little bit is offered as an experience.
Yes.
Here, it's truly experiential in the real.
The person is in the center of the experience.
It's immersive learning because the situation, the person is situated in the context from which reality is learned. And things are not, learned in an abstract manner. For example, if you see modern mathematics, right? We just look at algebraic equations, and then we try to solve them. But we don't know, like now, if I show you a graph, most of us will not be able to relate it to an algebraic equation. We have forgotten all that. We have just learned it as formulae. But most of Indian math, starts with certain geometrical patterns, some geometric, identities from which the algebraic identities are, brought out. So that way, a child through geometric patterns actually learns algebra. There is one child in the Gurukulam, in fact, if you tell the child the formula, the child is not able to learn. The moment you show the child the pattern visually, geometrically, the same child identifies the equation. So it actually caters to a wide range of student capabilities, not just someone who is like cognitively capable to solve only numerical.
Children learn differently. Somebody learns visually, somebody learns by hearing. So
by hearing.
Yes.
And the beauty of the way the education we offer in our Gurukulam, and of course in many Gurukulams and Patashalas, is that a large body of knowledge is chanted, kanthastha, and it is learned by memory. So large amounts of textual information like Ashtanga Hridayam or, Ganita or Aryabhatti or whatever, they learn it by memory. In fact, there was one child, somebody from outside had come and they had asked like, what difference do you feel from your regular education and Gurukulam? And the child mentioned that when I was in the regular school, what I studied in first standard, I used to forget in second standard, third standard, I forgot. But here, the first year I learned the verses. Now I've built on top of those verses. Now I'm added more. Now it's
folded
Gurukulam.
Yes.
So now I remember all the verses right from day one, whatever I was taught. So that way, it's a very, very associative memory that is formed, which harnesses the crucial capability of a child, which is memory.
So what do you have to say about memory, Smriti ji? Because you're in the field of education and memory has been panned a lot. Now it's coming back in the West, I think. But for many years, they said, oh, Indian education is nothing but learning by rote and memory. Whereas one realizes, like you said, it's in the younger ages where you can actually commit to memory. Later, you cannot. So, but what is advantage of committing to memory? What is the advantage of rote learning?
So this rote learning and then this chanting memorization has to be probably slightly differentiated here. So what we meant by when we went through the education, I've been through the modern whatever mainstream education process. We will by heart paragraphs in physics and chemistry and
answers
basically in English. But write it down, definitions and all that. After that, the last page, when you walk out of the exam hall, it's all evaporated. So you don't remember anything out of that. Yes. But that is very different from chanting it because there is a chandas to it. There is a meter to it. There is a metrical composition. If you want, you can even sing a verse from Aryabhatti or Leelavati or Ashtanga. And then you commit it to memory. The words themselves are created in such a way that associations are formed, new neural circuits are formed. And then you remember those verses for a very, very long time. Whereas what you studied in the physics textbook, though you by-hearted it or rote learned it, it means that you haven't understood it. And
so the difference, like you're saying, shlokas or chanting verses or poetry, which is mathematics, is very different from just, regurgitating some rote learning answers, which has no connection with your meter or what you're chanting. Okay.
And many people, what they do is that they say that, oh, this Veda Patashala children, anyway, they are only by-hearting, they are not understanding the meaning. No, it is not that way. See, once you provide a strong language foundation and then you memorize the verses, any day you pick up the text, you are going to just understand the meaning. Of course, there will be nuances which will be scored to that knowledge system, which will take some help to figure out and all that. So even if you're a Sanskritam expert, doesn't mean you can decode an Ashtanga Hridayam or a Leelavati or whatever. It takes some effort, but nevertheless, has that strong language foundation, the scientific spirit, plus the memorization of verses. These three actually form an amazing combination, which will make the Gurukula child excel wherever they go.
And again, you preempted my question of, is it difficult for them to find, after they for them to be absorbed in mainstream education or employment? Like you're saying, if they're able to get admission in IITs and if they're able to simultaneously do, be in your Gurukulam, I suppose it's not so much of a concern about absorbing in the mainstream, isn't it, anymore?
Yes, actually, if you see the higher education system, actually now it is lot of changes have been brought. UGC every day they're working towards making it more and more interesting and useful and relevant for today's times. So, for example, you have multiple entry, multiple exit. Then you have online degrees which are now treated at par with the in-person degrees. And then you have the academic bank of credits, and you also have recognition of prior learning. You have adjunct professors of practice who can be empaneled on educational institutions, and whatever you learn under them will also be considered as credits. So this entire, now you have the IKS division where you can put mentors, where you can do your internship. So this entire network has been created where the Gurukula child, if they want, they can go to the mainstream, like for example, engineering or medicine, whatever, because NIOS open schooling, if they take, they can do that. But nevertheless, even if they want to stick to many of the IKS domains, they have a lot of options in terms of taking Ayurveda degree or, bachelor's in yoga and naturopathy sciences. The Sanskritam degrees, many of them are there, or pick up credits here and there, and eventually which will add to a degree in terms of the national credit framework. So I feel that it is like one generation ago to worry about, this degree, the paper.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. The more awareness young parents get about this, I feel that they will feel, without, chinta.
They won't doubt
the
what
child
you're
will anyway not worry, Ji. The child is happy climbing the tree, learning the Ganita. And
especially if it is in a poetry form or chanting. Yes. They love all that and to experience it, because they don't want to sit like our generation went through sitting in the classroom, even if we were not interested. It was, we had to look out of the window to look at nature. If we are attracted to nature, we were just forced, it was like a prison wall. And you had all these English songs about, anti-education. But our education was never like that. The Gurukulas were maybe under the tree and a part of nature, and you were a center of that experience, like you were talking about. So it was a very different system. And I'm very happy to hear from you, because you've been in it for so long, that things have changed for the better. And your senior students have decided to stay back. And what more can be said, because that is one of the success stories, I would think, that they have admission in IIT, they can sit in Parani and actually do that degree, which will be considered on par if he studied in person or she studied.
This degree is like useful for any Gurukula child or Patashala child who wants to go through mainstream education, because a lot of benefits. They are treated like an IIT graduate. They can even enroll for a PhD directly after the 4-year degree program.
Wonderful.
They become eligible for other research fellowships because they are an IIT graduate. Many things get enabled, but nevertheless, the idea is to build ruchi in the Indian knowledge systems, even at the higher education level. So the more we work with it, even such degrees, IKS degrees probably would open up for these students, to pursue in the future.
And they'll open the path for the other generations. So
other generations. Yeah.
So finally on Anadi, before we get to Swadharma Gurukulam, what would you say are the core principles with which you founded it, or which continue while, offering other initiatives? We would like to understand, so that we understand the model of Anadi and why it works and why it clicks.
Yes. So one of the core aspects here is to provide the holistic experience of learning, as we talk about the Panchakoshiya Vikas. The Panchakoshiya Vikas is available in the NCF. It is available in our Shastras, first of all. It's available in the Taittiriya Upanishad. It's available in the Vedantic texts. And many Gurukulams, who have been there before us, they've all imbibed those values. So the holistic learning, it's not just about, I clearly remember when I was going through school, it was all about cognition. You learn all the concepts, you write it in the exam, and then you're always tested on that. We were not tested on, how much time we spend on, say, yoga every day, or how much time we spend on whatever, other dimensions.
Cooking also, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So this self-reliance was completely lacking, but this one of the core ideas of Dharma Gurukulam, that is Anadi Dharma Gurukulam, which we have in Palani, is to be able to build these self-reliance skills, self-reliant skills, and also to be able to develop all the dimensions of the child. So every day there is something for the Annamaya Kosha in terms of the yoga sessions, the food that they eat, insights from Ayurveda, which will help them to sort of self-manage and self-assess. That is one thing. The second, of course, the Pranamaya Kosha, in terms of the energy that they derive through pranayama, through just being in nature. Even, in fact, there's a lot of excitement when they blow the shankha, because that is one way to test their lung capacity. And they go for frequent treks. We are located in Ivarmalai region. So that is one way to just check their prana quotient. And the Manomaya Kosha, of course, being with the cows, Goshala is one important aspect of developing the Manomaya Kosha, because each child is tied to one cow.
Wow.
So in fact, we used to joke that in earlier days, they used to tell, if you don't study well, I'll send you to taking care of the cows. But we tell them that if you don't study well, we won't allow you to touch the cows. Then they will all be like, no, we'll do it. We want to.
So when you're saying each child has one cow, so they look after, as in, do they clean the area? Do they milk the cow? Everything.
Yeah. Milking, we don't do much, but they also know to milk. They're trained to milk the cow. But what they mainly do is that they feed the cow. They take the hay and put it to the cow at appropriate times, so that the cow is not hungry or thirsty.
And they're responsible for the cow. So the teachers responsibility.
They're responsible for the cows. They have groups there is one person who also, another senior child, who will ensure that it is done and all that. And the main thing is that through Ayurveda, they will also learn how to assess the health of the cow. If there is some ailment, they know whether it's a Vata dosha or Pitta dosha or Kapha dosha, what imbalance is there. And they also know herbal preparations in order to solve those problems.
This is taught separately or by the way of
By the way. Yeah. Vriksha, Pashu and Manushya. They know little bit of Vaidyam for these three.
Yeah. So like kitchen remedies, the mothers and grandmothers.
Yes.
So they know
all that they know. And of course, the Ayurvedic principles come with that also. And then, so this Panchakoshya Vikas has been core to the, the Gurukula.
Sorry, I stopped you at Manomaya Kosha, I think.
Yeah, Manomaya Kosha. And Vijnanamaya Kosha, of course, you have this vast body of knowledge. So rigorous mathematics, rigorous astronomy. In fact, astronomy is something which is really missing in our curriculum, which all children should, go through, because it builds a lot of visualization capabilities. It builds a lot of imagination. Even what you can say,
observation.
Observation, right?
And we can actually see it in the skies. So, environmentally, ecologically.
We always look at the picture and then take up a heliocentric model where the sun is at the center. But not geocentric, but an observer-centric model gives you a lot of freedom, a lot of insights, because for you, what do you observe in your latitude? What are you able to observe? Which is an observer-centric model, which is core to the astronomy, Indian astronomy. That is also, all these are the Vijnanamaya Kosha. Anandamaya Kosha is, of course, a lot of dhyana. They take up japa, they take up mauna, few hours of mauna. And in fact, when they go for internships, some of the children, what we do is that in order for them to understand where is this knowledge system being used and relevant, they take up internships. For example, they had internship in IIT Bombay, Enhance, where they got to work with the yoga and neuroscience group. And they saw the brain models and the real brain as well. And then the Ayurvedic centers to see how Ayurveda Vaidyas actually diagnose. So that way they get, after that, they come back and then they spend a day in Mauna on reflection. And then they sort of give presentations to everybody at the ashram as to what they do. And Japam on, say, significant days goes up to 10,000, 20,000. I mean, the way they like to do. They all love doing japa and dhyana.
You're also in a very beautiful place in your Palani. So you have Subramania right there, and it's all healing.
Take Padayatra to Palani also. The senior children, whoever is able to walk, they take Padayatra to Palani.
Beautiful. How far is it from you?
17 kilometers.
They'll do 17 kilometers Padayatra. Wonderful. So you have answered again. You have preempted in terms of answering the vision behind Swadharma, because it is probably the same Swadharma, but we'd like you to speak about the Gurukulam and why Sikandarabad.
Yes, yes.
So a bit about the Swadharma Gurukulam.
So for the past 2 to 3 years, we've been doing a lot of activities in Hyderabad and Secunderabad. We did the IKS Club, IKS Hub launch, and met a lot of people who work in the space. Of course, Brihat is a very beloved partner that way. So what we saw is that there is a lot of Shraddha in the people in Hyderabad and Secunderabad. I'm not sure if people who live there will, it's always people who live there who don't understand the value.
They haven't met others. I think you brought all of us together in a way. I guess.
So, but coming from another state, I can say that a lot of Shraddha is there in the parampara, and many of them sort of, at least economically they are balanced, so they don't have to really worry about what kind of education that the child needs to go through. And many are very keen that the children should come back and take forward their farming or business, whatever it is. So if the children have to be rooted in the parampara, then this kind of a knowledge becomes very important. Of course, the state as well has a lot of people who go abroad, that is also there. But nevertheless, the lot of people also come back and then take care of, their family businesses and all that. So what we felt is that the Gurukulam, the Swadharma Gurukulam, which we are doing in partnership with the Satyavratananda Swamiji's ashram, which is a Shivananda ashram located in Padmarao Nagar. What we are doing there is a day Gurukulam. Not everybody is yet ready for a complete shift to a residential mode. But this will give a taste of what a Gurukulam is. Later on, if they want, they can always come to Palani, of course, or we will see how to, integrate a residential Gurukulam for them. But nevertheless, this is as of now a day Gurukulam from morning 9 to 3 p.m. The idea is the same, Panchakoshiya Vikas, but just that they will be able to travel from the comfort of their homes and spend the time there, because very young children, because the age is 6, we expect them to be with the parents at least till 10 years. They're with the parents. It's really good.
Beneficial.
The curriculum and everything, we've designed books for that. We had books for seniors earlier, but now we have books for the juniors as well. And we have drawn up a full IKS based curriculum, not missing out on any element of what a child will go through in a modern education.
Any subjects you can talk about, like what would be their daily routine or the curriculum that will follow?
The daily routine, they will have a good dose of yoga. Guru Vandanam will be there, yoga will be there, and they will have IKS subjects in terms of learning various, say, mantras and, shlokas, of course. And they will also be introduced to various knowledge systems through simple activities. For example, Panchabhuta. The names of the Panchabhuta, and then some role play based activities. The names of the grahas, and again role play based. Names of the rashis, and simple mathematical techniques, speed math techniques from Vedic mathematics. Bharati Tirthaji's speed math techniques, all that will be taught to them. Apart from that, a few verses from each of the knowledge systems, Ashtanga Hridayam, Leelavati or Aryabhatiya, whether they understand or not, it's not a concern. Eventually they'll understand. But now we will start with the Kanthastha, and Bhagavad Gita will be a very, very important aspect of
From the start. Okay.
From the start.
And who is going to be the Acharya here?
So here we have a small team here. We have Manchukeshwar, who will be heading the Gurukulam, and we have a team of volunteers, and we are also recruiting 1 or 2 Sanskritam or IKS based Acharyas. We are in the process.
So how many students and how many Acharyas are you?
We are thinking maybe about 30 students we'll be able to intake, and we might have a team of 6 to 7 Acharyas. Mostly 3 will be full time, but remaining will be like, weekly thrice they will come, and whatever subjects they are allocated, they will come and teach. Sanskritam will be a very important part of this.
Yes, because all the Vaidika Magmaya is all in Sanskritam. Yes. This is wonderful. And children can learn faster and better.
Very much.
It's like swimming, you get it off early and then they never
forget. They never forget.
And for viewers of parents who are watching, they can enroll if they go to swadharma.in, SVADHARMA Swadharma.in. That's where they enroll, isn't it?
Yes. That's where we enroll. We
Yeah.
also have an upcoming summer camp for 3 days. There will be open houses announced on the website. People can come and visit and interact with us on those open houses. The Gurukulam as such is starting from June 12th, which is a Wednesday and happens to be a Shashti Tithi.
And we will put up the description in the YouTube description also, so that people can have a look. I had a few more questions before we close, Smriti ji. Thank you for your time. Just a question about exams. I know that traditionally Gurukulams do not believe in exams and that kind of pressure on young children. But in the modern sense, how is the outcome measured? Let's say now the child wants to go from here to a mainstream education system. So how does one measure outcomes in the IKS Paddhati?
So here, what we follow at the Gurukulam, usually the Veda Pathashala, the oral, the exams are conducted. There are many different ways exams are conducted in a Pathashala system. But what we do here at the Gurukulam is, since we have NIOS subjects as well, so the NIOS becomes the certificate for the outside world. So we write the NIOS exams. They will register for a subject in grade 3, grade 5. They will enroll for a subject, and then they will take up the exams. So that will be a formal way. That will be broken down into term exams as well, and they will have.
So they will have those exams.
Yeah, IKS part will be like a lot of it will be oral exams where they have to chant, but they will also be written. Here at the Gurukulam, residential Gurukulam, we also have written assessments. But what we do different is that the report that we send to the parents is called the Panchakosha report. So we don't just give a mark statement.
Yeah.
The marks, the student calls up and tells the parent that this is what I've scored. The report as such talks about what intervention did we give for each kosha to enhance the potential of the child and what was the child like when they came into the Gurukulam. So we have some parameters within the ashram, which we sort of, and the same Panchakosha kind of a report will be applicable for Swadharma for the younger children as well. There will be evaluation here, at timely intervals. But none of the children here feel any pressure as such, because the acharyas know what the students know. Already they know, because they all live together. But just anyway, as a formal way of assessing, there is an oral exam. There is something to write as well. And
I did want to mention that Manjukesh ji, who's going to be the chief acharya, he was with you in Anadi. So he's been trained there. So for the viewer,
he is trained there, and he has spent a lot of time in sadhana, mauna, and very convinced about why the Gurukulam education is needed for the society today.
Yes. And the question about fees, as you know, all the private schools, colleges charge an arm and a leg, and it's so exorbitant. A lot of people cannot afford it. But we know that in the Gurukula Paddhati, when we read Dharampalji is the beautiful tree, we knew that every village had a school and the villagers and the community supported it. They were patrons of the education. It was free education. And in the same model, Swadharma Gurukulam also is free, isn't it?
Yes.
But can you please talk a little bit about that? Free structure.
Swadharma Gurukulam is free of cost. That is, that way we feel that, as you said, in the traditional way, education can be offered. So the Rina that we want to build with the child and the family of the child is that of Jnana. So by giving the Vidya, whatever Rina we build in terms of that can be the relationship. So there is nothing to really hold the child, the interest of the child, and how well we do our job is what will, sort of.
The core is that. The essence is teaching and learning.
Correct.
But how do you sustain it? Are there enough patrons coming forward to finance and?
So we actually seek donations from large heart donors, or if the parents, sometimes they feel like, why do you want to ask outside? We ourselves will support something. They support to whatever extent we need to spend, only to that extent we raise money. And then otherwise, many of the acharyas are doing here as a seva bhava. One or two people will be recruited as well.
Great. So final question, Ji. So future, is it going to be scaled up 6th, 7th, 8th grade to 12th? Because once a child is studied, like they finish the 5th standard, maybe the parents and the child, like you were mentioning in Anadi, they don't want to leave the place. They might want to go to the 6th and continue to 12th with Swadharma Gurukulam. Is there any idea that you want to continue like that? And what would be your dream for Swadharma Gurukulam?
So here, definitely there's a continuity plan, because why we didn't announce the 6, 7, 8 now is that it will be a bit late to start with IKS at grade 6, especially if you're not residential.
Want to
So
build a foundation for the
yeah,
children.
a foundation for children. And
Mm.
once they complete grade 5, they will seamlessly be, integrated into the grade 6. It will just be available there, or
Okay.
they can come to Pioneer for residential. Now that they know the residential, now that they know the Gurukulam, they know us, they'll be more confident to choose the residential mode, or they can continue there in the non-residential mode. And one of the key visions for the Swadharma Gurukulam is to build to shape children who are interested in this knowledge system, who are excited to learn, this lifelong, and who also sort of look at it as a very positive future opportunity, or a career path for themselves.
And then you're there to help them, come to terms, like all the parents and the students, to live
Yes.
that reality.
The parents are also our children that way.
Yes, because I'm also excited when I heard that this is
Yeah.
happening here. My friends are excited. So it is very exciting to know that this is happening here in Hyderabad. And if all of us were younger, maybe we would have also enrolled. But we are happy to assist in any which way. And we welcome viewers to also volunteer and assist the school. And thank you so much for your time, Smriti ji. We wish you the very best and for setting up more such schools across the country.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Hari Om.
Wherever there is interest, we'll be more than happy to set it up.
Absolutely. Namaste.
Namaste.